Hey guys, Ratchet Reviews here again with another Transformers video review. This time I will be taking a look at the Robots in Disguise Heavy Load figure. Now, I'm going to point this out now, and I'll probably point this out when I shoot Hightower's review as well. Both of them share the same core body with essentially the same transformation, but I feel like both of them are different enough to establish their own separate reviews of. So getting that out of the way, we'll take a look at Heavy Load here. He is a dump truck. As the rest of the build team, he is of no exact model of dump truck. He's just the cartoony approximation of what a dump truck is. Now, I wanted to say this in Wedge's review and I forgot to mention, but basically all of the build team, and I've noticed as I'm shooting these reviews, they are cartoony approximations of what those vehicles are. And as you go down the line from Wedge, Grimlock, Heavy Load, Hightower, start to notice that the further you go down that line, the more or the less realism is applied to those modes. So anyways, take a look at Heavy Load here. Dump truck, a very nice dump truck for what it is. Very big, chunky, big wheels, and rolls really well. As you can see, if you can get all four wheels on the ground, and everything wants to stay pegged in for the review. There we go. Now, gimmick-wise, you can lift the dump bucket, and it does lift pretty good. I do like that. He also, this is just like Grimlock, and Hightower will have this too. He has an additional battle mode that was not featured in the Hasbro instructions. This is a Takara instruction exclusive, where you would take this section here for the dump truck bed, and you would rotate it around. And then, now you can use this panel here that has the Autobot symbol on it, and open it up. To make an attack mode. And out of attack modes, this is by far the silliest attack mode that the entire team does. So, go ahead and get that put away now. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the size comparison here. Size comparison first, we'll take a look at Prowl from the Robots in Disguise toy line. That way you get a good look to see how he compares with a figure of the same price point that was released around the same time. So you get a good feel of what you're buying, what you would be buying back then. And also you can tell here, just by looking at it, like how much goofier this looks compared to this. And, of course, bringing in a more recent figure release. Looking at the Siege Ironhide here. Now, until they pretty much fill out about the same amount of space, to be honest. So, I know this has been, like, I know I've mentioned this before, looking at some of these older figures, like the Robots in Disguise line, but we were so spoiled through Armada, Energon, Cybertron, and the Classics line, and the original movie lines, where Deluxes were bigger. They started getting bigger than this, and then when they started shrinking down around the Generations line with the Fall of Cybertron and the Thrilling 30, we forgot how spoiled we were. And it's almost like they're not shrinking down as much as they're going back to what a normal deluxe figure was in the 90s and 2000s. So, that being said, my little soapbox rant is over, and like, I'll defend it still that I am perfectly fine with Deluxes getting a little bit smaller. As well, as long as the budget going up incorporates into extra paint applications and extra engineering involved and parts count. So as long as they're getting smaller and being as engineered as they used to be in the 90s and 2000s, or even better engineered, as well as having some additional paint applications, like stuff that we took for granted back then too. So anyways, now on to the transformation here. We're going to start by getting this up out of the way and rotating it around. And then also we kind of rotate this around just so this is out of the way for now. And we're going to take the arm sections here and we're going to unpeg them from the legs. Fold the hands down. And then separate or pull this section out. Now for mine, this has been a problem ever since I had it, is that these sections are supposed to be tight enough to where they stay in place when you pull the legs down. So mine, as you can tell, they don't do that. This is for the combination torso mode for heavy load, and that's the only time those joints are supposed to be utilized. So after I pull them down, every time I have to squeeze them back up and get the joints to, or the waist to look like it's supposed to. Now next, fold the arms forward, fold the hands down, take this backpack section here, fold this down, rotate the dump bucket behind his back, fold out the feet, and then rotate this all the way up and open the lid and fold his head out. And once I can get all of his joints to cooperate, there is heavy load in his robot mode. Now he is a little bit squat compared to Grimlock, but I don't think that's so much a drawback on heavy load as much as it is just commenting on how tall Grimlock is. And we'll go ahead and take a look at that head sculpt here first. By the way, I really love that smirk, and I love the fact that Darren Norris voices him in the English dub. And given the fact that this was released in Japan before the English dub was even conceived, just makes it all better that they chose Darren Norris to voice him. Because I can see, yeah, I could see Timmy Turner's dad's voice coming out of this guy. A knockout. So I can see that voice just coming out of him. But as you can see, that smirk is really good. I like that little bit of detail. I do like the really bright red visor going on, and you can, just like I mentioned with Wedge and Grimlock, you can see the approximation of a dump truck in the design of his helmet. So there's a little cab there, and there's the engine block, and here's the ridge for the grill, and then there's there is the wheels, and then you can kind of see how the bucket extends out. So that's a really nice touch. I really do like these helmets. I think heavy load is one of the strongest ones of alt mode in the head out of all of them. Other than that, no other real details to point out. He does suffer from some monkey arms due to his transformation. But besides that, not really anything too bad to point out on his detail. Posability wise, pretty decent in the posability. He does have the 360-degree rotation in the head, which I'm a little hesitant to do because that is translucent plastic, and I have heard some horror stories about this particular piece. So, the fact that, knock on wood, mine is still intact after 20 years is astounding. Anyways, 360-degree rotation in the head. Shoulders are on ball joint with a reverse butterfly joint effect going on, but it can get 360-degree rotation. Same with the elbow. Ball joint, 360-degree rotation for some sideways elbows. And due to the transformation, you do get this little joint for the hand, but that more breaks his hand than it does do anything for articulation. Unfortunately, no waist articulation to speak of. The hips, though, are really nice. Can kick out that far, as well as kick forward that far. And it does kick forward only that far if you're going straight on. But if you bend around, you can kick it that far back. Knees are very thick, tight, 90-degree bend knees. And toe can do all sorts of toe things because it is double jointed there. And also, if you ever feel inclined to, on both him and Hightower, you can extend this piece out. This is solely for the combination mode, but you can also extend it out as an ankle, or not an ankle, but a heel spur. But he's got pretty good solid feet to where he doesn't need it. So yeah, he's pretty decent. His weapon here is the dump bucket. And yeah, you can just take it off. And then it is, we looked at this before, this is spring loaded, but especially on the age of mine, that spring has definitely gotten a lot weaker. But what you're supposed to do with this now is you take this peg and peg that into his hand. And then he uses this as a grabby claw attack. So he can do that. So it's a little fun, neat thing that he can do, but not my favorite weapon out of all of them. It's just a little odd. And I forgot to do the size comparison, so we'll go ahead and bring Sideburn in. So side by side with the Deluxe class in robot mode, so you can get a good idea of how he compares to others in the line. And he stands about the same head height. Just a little bit smaller than Sideburn, but not too bad. And then with a more recent figure, we have with the Siege Prowl. Again, about the same when it comes to head height. So at least does a pretty good job of that. Now, for the figure himself, Heavy Load is actually a really fun toy to have. just due to the blocky proportions of his dump truck mode, it does come off as really cutesy, and I think that is a pretty fun selling factor to this figure. Now, one thing to note, one thing to be very aware of with the heavy load is the fact that the entire cab of his truck is cast in translucent plastic, except for the flap that hides his head away. So, that being said, finding one of these in the aftermarket, you need to be extremely careful on the condition of the canopy. So, that being said, otherwise, he's a very good figure, very fun to mess with. Definitely on his own, pretty noteworthy, but not nearly as noteworthy as Wedge is. One of them that you may be able to find plenty of enjoyment on his own, but definitely having the entire team of Landfill helps as a good selling point for him. It's not nearly as egregious as Grimlock, but it is one of the cases where he's better once you get the rest of the team. But that's about it. That's about all I have for Grimlock, or wow, not Grimlock, Heavy Load here. And we got one more to take a look at before we get all of them in for Landfill. So stay tuned for that, and this will be Ratchet Reviews. I hope you guys like this video review, and I will see you next time. Bye.